there is no drama on the face of this earth than this drama that I am wholeheartedly wrapping myself around unapologetically, because the drama is so tantalizing. It's so interesting. I have so many thoughts. Grab your tea, grab your snacks, just grab whatever, grab your seats. And we're just going to go into all of this, because the reason why all of this is so fascinating to me is because Blake Lively is very much a person we don't know, but we really don't know, but we like her because of her character. She's one of those actors, right? She's one of those actors who we like her because of what she plays, not who she is, because we don't really see her talk much about the work of art that she's in part of. So when we are seeing her talk in interviews and talk about certain things, we open our eyes and we're like, oh, Blake, because we don't see her and we haven't seen her for quite some time. Apparently she is raising her kids full-time. Apparently she's a full-time mom. That's what she does. We don't know what that even means, full-time mom, for a person as rich as Blake Lively, who's married to a very rich billionaire, Ryan Reynolds. We don't really know what that means, but she has 4 kids. But they usually crawl out of the hole that they usually are in and talk about the movie or TV show, whatever works of art they end up doing, or business, because they want us to hear whatever they want us to hear. And Justin Baldoni is Justin Baldoni. So we're just going to go into it. We're going to start it from the beginning. I'm going to break down all the drama so you are caught up about what I'm going to talk about, what we're going to share, and my thoughts. I did go see the movie, so I will tell you my thoughts of the movie. Every single detail of all of this, the drama and the movie, will be talked about in this video. So let's start from the very beginning. We have Justin Baldoni. And let me tell you who Justin Baldoni is. This is in a Forbes article. He gave some comments about who he is and his company and what he means to be part of Hollywood, what Hollywood means to him and the impacts he wants to have on Hollywood. So he says, Hollywood has a short-term memory problem and you're only as good as your last project. But I think the industry has got that backwards. I believe our studio is the antidote to that problem. So that's the Wayfair Studios. So he has a production company. I wanted to build a studio that's artist-driven and artist-focused. We want to be synonymous with content for purpose, but that doesn't have to be just earnest, vanilla stuff. Because I've been on the other side for so long and I've been screwed massively. I know what it feels like to work so hard for something, to want to bring something to life and not have any ownership over it all. And he talks about into this article about the insecurities that he has. And he says, and I quote, "You're talking to somebody who has for his entire life had imposter syndrome and dealt with a lot of insecurities. I will always err on the side of thinking nobody takes me seriously. That's my internal struggle. But at the same time, I'm fueled by no. My entire life, I've been underestimated and put in a box because of the way I look or how I've been portrayed on TV. Generally, that's on TV. And his shirt is off. What does that say? Because he talks about how he's portrayed as this like sexy, good-looking dude. And it's true. He's objectively a very good-looking man. And he is. And that's part of the reason why I think he's became so popular in Jane the Virgin. I did watch Jane the Virgin. I think like the first 5 seasons. I think it ran from 7 to 8 seasons. But I watched the first 4 to 5 seasons, something like that. And I'm very familiar on how he portrayed himself in that character. So he goes on and talks about how people see him on the outside. So his exterior. And this is important to note so you know who Justin is. And then I'll describe Blake. There's a reason why I don't pose with shirtless pictures on my social media, Justin says. I've built my brand and content around things that come from the heart, my mind, and not my appearance. I've been fighting my whole life to break out of the box of the way I look. So yes, of course, I didn't think people took me seriously to begin with, but that's the fire. That's the fuel that has kept me burning the midnight oil every night for the last 15 years, because I do feel like I have something to prove. So that is Justin. And Justin, which we'll talk about in a bit, but he goes on to state that he's the type of person who really talks about the deep issues that Hollywood usually doesn't talk about. And he doesn't really talk about what he looks like. He talks about his feelings and his emotions. And he his entire career is breaking the mold of what it means to be a man, right? The macho alpha man. And even an article that was like posted today or a couple of days ago, they talk about how people would describe him as a good-looking man, but he acts like Urkel. He's like a very dorky, very insecure, very emotional man. So we have Justin Baldoni, who read It Ends With Us. We don't know when, but it must have obviously been after it came out. So he read It Ends With Us. And it resonated with him a lot. So he have his Wear for a production company, and he directed 5 Feet Apart, which Zach from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody starred in. And it got pretty good reviews in terms of his viewership, and the people who watch Zach, they like. I don't think like it was viewed favorably with the critics, but generally, if you talk to people who've watched 5 Feet Apart, like a lot of people do like that movie. So Colleen Hoover, who wrote It Ends With Us, also saw 5 Feet Apart. So Justin wrote a letter to Colleen Hoover and was very emotional in that letter, and said that he wants to write a movie or produce a movie about this book because it really resonated with him. So this is what Colleen Hoover said about that. Justin actually bought the film rights for the book. He sent me a really lovely letter saying how much the book meant to him. And as we kind of went along in the process, he was like, oh, I think I might want to direct this. So he ended up directing it, but he also ended up starring in it. And Hoover continues, because she did watch 5 Feet Apart. And she said to Justin, I watched 5 Feet Apart, and it was like, oh, you did such a good job in 5 Feet Apart, the movie. I feel like you would do a good job in this movie. And then the idea of him playing Ryle came up, and he was understandably trying to figure out if he could successfully be a director, producer, and also an actor, because there's a lot of hats. And so he was struggling with that, Colleen Hoover says. And Colleen Hoover obviously said that he thinks that he could be able to pull it off. And Colleen Hoover did say, according to what she saw in the movie that dropped, It Ends With Us, that Ryle, aka Justin Baldoni, did an amazing job in the movie. She said her words, he pulled it off. So you have Justin Baldoni, who have bought the rights to the book in 2019 and asked Colleen Hoover permission before he did that. And she obviously sold it to him. And then they needed to cast. Now, another thing to keep in mind, Sony was the actually one who actually bought the movie with Justin Baldoni's company, Wear for Productions. So Wear for Productions and the Sony company bought the rights to the movie, and Sony was going to distribute it. I think that's how it works. So it's Sony Studios, right? And so they have the movie. So they thought about actually who's going to be starring as Lily Blossom Bloom. And we go on, and Colleen Hoover does actually talks about this as well. And she continues to go, I don't know why I can't talk today. Oh my God. I think it's because I drink a lot of coffee, guys. I ain't gonna hold you. I drink a lot of coffee. Blake Lively, she thought about Blake Lively, and she thought that Blake Lively would play an amazing job in playing Lily Bloom in this movie. And after watching the movie, she thinks that no one else could have played that part. I don't know if I agree with that. I honestly do not agree that anybody would have done better in playing the part. Obviously, I've seen the movie, so it's hard for me to go back from that. But anyways, I give my thoughts at the end on that. So we have Blake Lively, who's now starring in it. Now, it took a long time, it looks like. Obviously, it does generally take a long time to make a movie and a TV show. It really does. It takes years. A lot of people do not know that. I know that because I've been watching movies and TV shows for a long time. So I listen to interviews. I listen to the interviews and the conversations of writers and directors and all these things. So I know it takes literally sometimes 10 years, 5 years. It could be 2 years if you have the capital, if you have the people, if they're all interested, the schedules all line up. It does take a lot of time. So it obviously aired in 2024, got the rights in 2019. So Blake Lively's in it. Now the movie drops. Now the movie drops in 2024, but it's supposed to have dropped in February. Now we now know 2 months before August. But I think it happened in June. People saying it's 2 months, but I think it's 2 months before June. So maybe April, May, that Blake actually went to having early screening of a film with people. And I'll go back, don't worry. With a select group of people. It was a surprise screening. And so Colin Hoover was doing, like, I think a reading of a book. So they surprised the small group of people of the It Ends With Us final project. And then you scroll and then they dropped the movie, I think, and they just dropped it in July. Now, drama is now coming out because in the actual marketing of this movie and the interviews and the pictures and all of that, Justin Baldoni, as we know, is the director, was the executive producer. He produced the company, Justin Baldoni, the Wafer Productions, and then he's also Ryle, the actor, the main actor. The leading actor is not in any way part of any type of social media blitz for this movie. In fact, it's being combined with Ryan Reynolds' movie, which is Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know why it's being combined. I don't know why they combined it, but a lot of information has come out, as you know. We'll talk about that. So that's where the drama then comes up. So people are then going, oh my God, why is Justin Baldoni not in any of the pictures with the main cast? And then people realize if they go to the Instagram, Blake Lively unfollowed Justin Baldoni. Colin Hoover is not following Justin Baldoni. Apparently they followed him in the beginning, don't know. And a lot of the main cast is not following Justin Baldoni. So now we dig a little bit deeper. As we dig deeper and things are now coming out, things are swirling on TikTok, they're reports saying that there was creative differences. Justin Baldoni did actually state this in a couple of interviews. Now, let's talk about the marketing. So we have the marketing of the actual movie. So let's talk about Blake Lively and the main cast. So the guy who plays Atlas, who plays Justin Baldoni's sister and Lily Bloom's best friend. We have, who else? And then Colin Hoover, Blake Lively. So those 4 or 5 people are marketing this movie as grab your florals, grab your girlfriends. Let's talk about dating and let's talk about this. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good night. Go and watch the movie. It's going to be a good time. That's how they're marketing as. And then you have also Ryan Reynolds and, the guy who plays Wolverine and Deadpool, I know what I'm talking about, actually being part of the marketing too. They posted a couple of reels on Instagram, and it's not really clear as to why they're combining these two. I don't know why there's a crossover, but again, we'll go into that. They did explain it, and no, they didn't really explain it, but there are reports and there's speculation surrounding why there's a crossover between Deadpool marketing and It Ends With Us movie. And then you have Justin Baldoni. So Justin Baldoni is not part of this type of marketing. Not part of it. Not part of the interviews, not part of the pictures, not part of the premieres, not part of any of it. And then we go see so if you go on Justin Baldoni's page, if you go to his TikTok, go to his Instagram, he is talking about the movie in individual interviews with certain media individuals, media outlets, Today Show, YouTube interviews, things like that. So he's talking about the movie. He's talking about trigger warning, domestic violence, which I'll shorten from now on as DV. So he's talking about DV, the impacts of DV, the purpose of creating such a movie, and why he took the route that he did in creating this movie. And he then states that this movie is really for those who resonates with Ryle and resonates with Lily Bloom, and hopefully they find they resonate with them, and hopefully helps them in reckoning with the reality that they're in, and learning how to acknowledge where they're in that type of relationship, and how to, once you acknowledge it, then you can gain resources. That's basically what Justin Baldoni is saying, that anybody who's watching the movie, It Ends With Us, and you are Ryle, hopefully you acknowledge that you are Ryle, and acknowledge the harm and pain that you're committing on your partner, on your family, and that you go and seek help. So that's what Justin Baldoni is advertising this movie to be. Now, two very different types of marketing. Now, when I got into this, I thought it was really weird. I really thought it was weird. I ain't gonna hold you. And I did not compare this to any other type of post drop movie drama. I do not think this is close to that Darling movie. And what's it called? Let me just look it up on my computer here. Don't Worry, Darling. Apparently there's drama. I do not compare it as that, because everybody, no matter what drama was happening there, like somebody spit on somebody, everybody was still marketing the movie together. In this case, you have two main actors who are marketing this movie in two very different ways. Okay, so let's talk about the drama. Let's talk about it. The reason why it is kind of, there's so much drama around it, let's look at the issues, okay? Number one, people are saying there's creative differences. There's creative differences. There are reports being saying that, you know, Justin Baldoni hired Blake. Blake is on this movie. She's an actor. Justin Baldoni did say there were creative differences, but he states, quote unquote, she's a creative power horse, quote unquote. He did an interview on TikTok, she's a Ferrari, that she gives you feedback in real time, and she gives you feedback in everything that she does. And that's what Justin Baldoni actually said. But he then concluded, and it was classy, demure, mindful. If you're on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. And he states that it was still great working with her. It was professional. It was nice. So that's what Justin is saying. And then Blake Lively is not really saying anything about their relationship. In fact, when questions do come up about Justin, she then talks and tries to reel it back to herself. When questions come back to, actually we'll talk about that at the end, but she doesn't talk about it. But speculation in regards to Blake Lively is that when it comes to the creative differences, that she actually was in everything. So she's not confirming that, it's not coming out of her mouth, but the reports or articles, they're saying that she was in part in everything. Like she, you know, part of wardrobe. She did actually state in interviews that the wardrobe that she wore was hers and also Gigi's, and the, you know, I'm like, then which one is part of, like, didn't you not have a stylist help you with the character? Like, isn't there a person in charge of designing the outfits for this character? She's acting as if like she was the only one who came up with the style and the clothing of the character for Lily Bloom. Like it seemed like there was nobody else in charge of that. It was all her own. She mixes her husband Ryan Reynolds and her clothing and then Gigi's. That's what she says. And then she also said that she had to put everything into this particular movie. She did say that in an interview. What else did she say? And that it was like really hard to do that, and you had to put everything. And then we have reports also saying that Ryan Reynolds was part of this movie. Now, before I talk about Ryan Reynolds, there was somebody who did write this movie. It Ends With Us movie script writer. Yeah, that's right. Is Jenny Slate. No, not Jenny Slate. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Anyways, it's not Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate was a person who played Lily Bloom's best friend and Ryle's sister. But the one who I'm just trying to find the person who wrote the movie, but Christy Hall. Oh my God, thank you. Christy Hall, she wrote the movie, okay? She wrote the movie, and she wrote the movie, I believe, before the pandemic started, and when during the pandemic. Yeah, they wrote the movie during the pandemic, and then the strike happened. The script was done, I believe. Or it wasn't done, but they had to stop writing, right? Because of the, not the pandemic, but the strike, the actor strike. So they had to stop because they had a strike, right? That happened, I think, oh my God. It felt like yesterday, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 years ago. So in the pandemic, they had a strike, right? It was kind of like post-pandemic. We're kind of coming out of pandemic. So I don't know if they finished the script. Don't know if they were almost done, whatever it is. But I'm pretty sure, based on what I'm reading, Christy Hall already finished the script. Anyways, so we finished the script. And then we hear reports that Ryan Reynolds actually took a scene of the movie and rewrote it. Ryan Reynolds is the wife to Blake Lively, who plays Lily Bloom in the movie. I don't know why Ryan Reynolds is in this movie. I don't know why you would take a part of a movie and rewrite it. Now, Christy Hall was not aware of it, but she's not salty over it. She's like, oh, if you rewrote a scene and you made it better, like, cool, like, I'm happy to work with Ryan. But I'm sure the director of the movie was probably not aware, aka Justin, right? So you have all of this happening in the background. Justin may or may not be aware of it. Now, also, after the movie was actually done, you also have Blake actually commission a part of the movie, meaning Blake Lively actually sold some part of the movie. Blake, let me explain it to you. I get it, but I'm going to explain it to you so people who are not in the movie industry. I'm not either, but I understand. Blake Lively took a part of the movie, bought it from Justin, because Justin owns the movie. He owns the rights to the book, right? The movie adaptation of the book. Bought it from Justin, took that part of the movie, and then sold it to Sunny. Okay? I don't know why she would do that too. And I think, obviously, for Blake Lively to do that, obviously Justin knew, because you had to buy it from Justin. But I guess to do that, I guess she probably had a hand in some type of the writing or the production, so she wanted to make it her own. So she sold it as hers to Sony. I don't know. It's really confusing as to why you would do that. But I'm guessing, I don't know if it's common for you to do that in movies, but don't know. She did that. And now part of the movie is now also hers as well. The movie's done, but they created two different versions of the movie. They screen tested two versions of the movie. They screen tested Blake Lively's version, because there's apparently a version of the movie, It Ends With Us, that was mostly a lot of Blake Lively's opinions. And then you have Justin Baldoni's movie. Justin Baldoni's movie, he's a director. Everybody knows when you're a director of a movie, director has a lot of say because you're directing every part of the movie. So you have Justin Baldoni, quote unquote, movie, when it's actually just like his movie. But anyways, so you have two different types of movies, and it was screen tested to two different types of audiences. The audience that obviously to the same audience, obviously. The same audience has to watch two movies to see which movie should Sony and Wafer Productions, that is owned by Justin, sell it to. So Justin movie got a lot of great feedback, so they ended up, so I think the movie that we're watching right now is Justin Baldoni's movie, but I think it still had a lot of Blake Lively in it too, which I'll talk about as to why I think. But anyways, so the movie I think that we're seeing is Justin Baldoni's movie, because the audience who saw both didn't like Blake Lively's movie. Okay, so But Blake Lively still showed her version of the movie to a particular audience 2 months before the movie that they decided that we're going to go on was dropped. So my conclusion on that is I think, oh God, I'll say my conclusion to the end. Y'all have to wait to the end. Like, it's so crazy. I'm sorry. That's creative differences. That's like number one issue. The second issue that's come out, there were reports that, oh my God, Blake Lively felt like she was fat shamed. And maybe she's basically saying she was felt sexually harassed by Justin Baldoni because they had a kissing scene, which apparently there's intimacy coordinators, but where were they during this time? And that the kiss felt too long, according to Blake Lively. Let me talk about this for a second. When you have intimacy coordinators when it comes to certain sexual scenes, intimacy coordinators kind of like make sure that everybody's okay and comfortable, number one. And number two, that sexual scenes between actors right now these days are so choreographed that you need to memorize where to place your hand, how many times you're going to kiss. Like, there's a lot going into it. A lot of people do not know. But apparently there were intimacy coordinators. However, there have been interviews that I've been seeing on TikTok mostly. I've been on TikTok because this drama is like feeding my soul. That shows that Blake Lively felt that, she said that she had to teach Justin how to do certain things, and that she jokingly said that she was also the intimacy coordinator because apparently she was the stylist, the costume designer, the producer, the actor, the director. Also, to keep in mind, I forgot to tell you about this. The movie, because remember, they made 2 versions of the movie. There were 2 versions of the movie. There should have just been one, right? Because director has final say. The director, that's the director's job. Let's actually look into the definition of director. Definition of movie director. Okay. A person who controls the making of a movie and supervises the actors and technical crew. So a film director is a person who controls the film's artistic and dramatic aspects and visualizes the screenplay while guiding the film crew and actors in the fulfillment of that vision. So the director has a vision and everybody else must match that vision, right? The reason why there was a second movie that was quote unquote Blake Lively's version was because she took parts of the movie and she gave it to the editor of Deadpool. So Deadpool movie that Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband, is in. I think that's what happened. So Sony bought the rights of a part of It Ends With Us and gave it to the editor of Deadpool to rewrite, and then created a quote unquote second movie that was Blake Lively's version. Holy shit. Okay, so then you have that, okay? So apparently, going back to the intimacy coordinator, she's all part, so she's quote unquote director, intimacy coordinator, fashion designer, all of that. So I do feel like it comes with being an actor that obviously some kisses may last a little bit longer, especially if you're trying to prove something, you're trying to get into character. I'm sure like these actors are very good looking and you've probably built chemistry and and maybe they kiss a little bit longer like each other, but I don't think that's the case with Justin Baldoni, which we'll talk about. But it happens and it's normal for a kiss to last long. I'm telling you right now, if you pay me $30 million to be part of a movie and a kiss lasts a little bit long, it depends for me. It depends on how the kiss is being happening, but if it lasts like a little bit longer, it depends. I'd be like, no, actually, no. For the second part, actually, I wouldn't mind. But no, actually, I would be a little bit offended, but I would need to know more about it. But then again, yeah, I think it's very customary for a kiss to last a bit too long, especially when you have method actors who are really into it. But then again, consent is a really big thing. Oof. So that's how we need more context in. The second thing that is coming out is that Justin Baldoni had to get information about Blake Lively's weight from his trainer or from the health coordinator or something like that, so he can be able to pick her up because he has back issues. There have been reports that Justin Baldoni does have back issues. I think he had surgery for them. Like, I think 2 surgeries I saw on TikTok. So don't quote me on that, but he does have serious back issues, and I think it's okay. Like, if y'all want to know how much my weight is for $20 million because you don't break your back, okay, cool. I can tell you my weight. This is my weight. I'll tell you my weight. So for me, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's fair, especially if you have like serious back issues and I could break your back when your doctor is maybe your doctor have told you that you can't be lifting over X amount of pounds, and let's say I'm over those X amount of pounds, then it makes sense for you to go ask people how much you weigh, so you doesn't like that makes sense to me. But the longing kiss, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's very customary for a kiss to last long, depending on how that kiss is happening, though. It depends. So those are the issues. So that's what's coming out right now, and we also have people talking about the personality of who Blake Lively is and who Justin Baldoni is. So I'm gonna start with Justin Baldoni because it's really quick. Justin Baldoni is the type of person, I've been following his career and I'll speak to his testimony about it. I don't know him personally, but he's the type of person who's talked about, breaking the male stereotypical mold of what a man is. So he's a very naturally emotional guy. He talks about feelings and emotions and consent and all of these things. And he really talks about, trauma. He doesn't trauma dump, but he wants everybody to know that it's okay as a man to talk about these things. So he talks about things that men usually don't talk about. He's made that his brand in his podcast on Instagram. He really goes deep into issues, like deep. And I've known that ever since Jane the Virgin. Like, he didn't just like wake up one day. This is always he's always been. So everybody knows that, and everybody's very familiar with Justin Baldoni because he's been in that famous Jane the Virgin TV show, and everybody knows he's had a social brand outside of that, and everybody knows that's who he is. And then you have Blake Lively. Once again, I started in the beginning. We don't know much about Blake Lively. All we know is that she is the wife of Ryan Reynolds. She has 4 kids. She's in Sister of Traveling Pansions, all these other movies. She doesn't really go out of her way to tell us who she is as a person, and she doesn't have to, right? Like, who are we? Just a person who buys a movie and low key, like, pays you, like, supports your brand and your life. But I don't know. But a lot of actors are like, for instance, Beyonce. Like, we don't know who Beyonce is. Like, we would never know who Beyonce is. But I think that's why she does those documentaries, to give an insight on who Beyonce is, and she controls the narrative, and that's why her documentaries are produced and written and starred by her and not by this third party. For instance, like, it's not like the DCC, the Dallas Cowboys, where Netflix comes and does a documentary and you have no idea what the documentary is going to be about. Beyonce would never do that because she controls the narrative. In this case for Blake Lively, I don't think she did a good job of controlling the narrative. Blake Lively's personality is showing through these interviews. The interviews that have gone viral, a lot of noticeable ones are the ones she had an interview with like a Sweden reporter, and the Sweden reporter opened up the interview like, "Oh, congratulations on your little bump," meaning she's pregnant, and it was quite public, like she's pregnant with her child, and she was very, open about that to the world. So the reporter, congratulated her and be like, "Hey girl, congrats, girl. Congrats on your little bump." And Blake goes, "Congrats on your little bump." And it came out, and the reporter just came out today or yesterday, and she said that interview made her so uncomfortable because throughout that interview with the reporter, Blake Lively was not even looking at the reporter in the face, and Blake Lively had like snarky comments, and she was in Cafe Society, which their wardrobe is the center of that movie, like, is a big part of that movie. Like a sad character. So it's fair for the reporter to say, "Oh my God, look at the costumes that you were wearing in this. Like, how did it feel to be in those costumes?" And she goes, oh, but if you were a man, you would ask that. And she goes, yeah, I would ask that. It's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like, I feel like, it's not like an action movie where costume's not a big thing, where you're not going to be asking, where you're going to be asking somebody about that. If you're in a movie where you wear elaborate costumes and wear elaborate outfits, of course, the reporters are going to ask you, like, what is your favorite outfit? And what do you think about wearing this? Oh my God, we saw you in this scene. Like, how do you feel? That's a valid question. It was not Blake Lively's good day. And that's the personality. And because we don't know a lot about Blake Lively, the world is gripping on these moments. And Blake Lively did not look good and did not look good in this interview. In fact, the reporter came out and said she actually felt like she wanted to quit her job because she felt so harassed in that interview. Because the reporter actually came out and said, yeah, I'm actually infertile. So for her to be like, congrats on your little bump when I could never have kids was heartbreaking. If Blake Lively does not apologize to that woman, I do not know how she's going to come back from that. Can you imagine saying that to a woman and saying to her, congrats on your little bump, just because somebody congrats on you having being pregnant? It is a blessing. It is a privilege because not every woman can be pregnant. And then somebody makes a snarky comment and turns it back on you, the person who can't be pregnant. Like, that is insane. Like, I would be distraught. Like, I would feel so bad. And then a lot of people are coming up with like all these other interviews about that she's done in the past, and all the other controversies. Apparently she had a wedding on a plantation. I'm not surprised. A lot of white people be doing all crazy things. Like, again, we don't know. Like, I don't know Justin Baldoni either. Like, I cannot vouch for these people because I don't know them personally. We just know what they've put out to the world, right? So in the promotion of the movie, like, Blake makes it an effort to not even talk about DV. And here, I haven't even talked about domestic violence a lot, is because I just want you guys to hear the context first. So now you guys know the context. If you go watch the movie, this movie is about domestic violence. Before I talk about that, so that's what we know about Blake. And then Justin, again, like, he's the type of person who's like very open, very honest. There are people coming out on TikTok, people who've worked with him, like out of the work, and be like, I'm hearing like bad things about Justin. We don't know if they've been hired by Justin PR team, but I've never had anybody vouch for an actor because of the quote unquote actor's behavior and say, no, you're wrong, or no, you're right. People are actually coming out and be like, no, Justin Baldoni is like the sweetest man, and I would not stand for any slander against him. People we've never met, who doesn't even make TikToks really on their TikTok page, and coming out and supporting Justin. So, and we know that Justin is honestly a sweet guy. Like, that's his brand for like 15 years. Obviously, sweet guys have done horrible things, but it's hard for us as the public to actually believe that because, again, like, a lot of his fans have come from Jane the Virgin. Like, we've followed him, and based on his personality and who he is, and tying it back to domestic violence, because this movie is about domestic violence, Justin Baldoni posted, as soon as this movie dropped the resources to how to help heal and help to get help if you are the domestic abuser, or if you've been abused by a domestic abuser. How to get resources and how to start your journey on his Instagram page. Like, it's the first link, the first thing, while Blake has been avoiding questions about domestic violence in every single interview. In fact, she would go and say, this movie is more about domestic violence. Like, she's a whole woman and she's this and she's, beyond that, and domestic violence doesn't really define her. Every woman knows that domestic violence doesn't define her, what we want you to talk about is how women should view this movie. It's clear that Blake Lively wants women to view this movie as just like this fluffy movie, but it's clearly not. There are a lot of people on TikTok who brought their friends and brought this, and people gasped in the movie theater once they saw the domestic incidents in the movie, because a lot of people were not prepared because of how Blake Lively and her team have been marketing it. There are a lot of people who are upset about that, and they have family members who are domestic abuse survivors and DV survivors, and they were not warned about the incidents of DV. And a lot of them are saying that it would have been great to have a warning about DV. I personally do not know how you can do a marketing for this movie and not talk about DV, because it is clear to me, it is so clear that this movie is about DV. There's not a lot of character development surrounding the characters of this movie. Ryle, Lily Bloom, and Atlas. We know nothing about Lily Bloom, her personality, why she wears the clothes that she wears, why she's opening up a flower shop. It can't just be because your name is Flowers. There is a story. We don't know anything about her other than that her father just died. Her father is a horrible person, and she grew up in a DV home her entire life because he was beating her mom, and her name is Lily Bloom, and she's opening a flower shop. We didn't even see her apartment in New York. Where does Lily Bloom stay? Until she left Ryle, that's when we saw Lily Bloom's apartment. Before, when she moved to New York from the suburbs that she came out of, we don't know even where she came out of. Maybe I missed that. I do feel like I need to rewatch the movie. I'm not going to hold you. We didn't even see her apartment. Same thing with Ryle. Who is Ryle? Other than he's a surgeon. He's a heart surgeon. Who is he? We don't even hear why he is the way he is. Except for his sister, who's played by Jenny Slate, that says in the movie, oh, our youngest brother died, and so, that broke him and traumatized him for the rest of his life, and he never had to deal with it. Okay, cool. So why isn't he talking about that? Fine. And Atlas, I think we know more about who Atlas is a little bit. Not even through Atlas, but I think we can say like he's a bit more developed than the other characters. Atlas is a man who left his home because his stepfather was beating on his mom and he didn't like it, and so his mom kicked him out because he was fighting with his mom. He's like, I don't want this man who you brought in beating you. So he escaped. He was homeless, and then he then graduated high school. He then went to the army. That shaped him. And then he was really good with cooking. And we saw that he was good at cooking. He was baking cookies for Lily Bloom as a younger Lily Bloom. And then he'll open up a restaurant. Like, we can tell he is a man with integrity, no BS, smart, dedicated, hardworking, passionate young man. Like, we know more about Atlas, who we barely see in the movie, than Ryle and Lily Bloom. I'm just gonna start there. And so we have those characters. On Lily Bloom's actual wardrobe, I honestly liked it. Okay, there were some outfits that I actually did like. She dresses like she lives on a farm. Again, there's no story behind her outfit. She comes from the suburbs. Like, where did this funky, quirky, orky, colorful style come from, right? She comes from the suburbs. Like, where did this come from? Like, it was developed in college. Like, we need a story behind that. She honestly dressed like she lived in a farm. Like, I would expect Ballerina Farm to have dressed the way she did, but even Ballerina Farm doesn't even dress like that. She has like a very modern take to her clothing. So there's some styles that I really liked, and there were some styles I was like, okay, what is that? Like, honestly, Lily Bloom, sometimes it's like she's homeless. I don't understand it. I don't. A couple things. I love the way they decorated the flower shop. I do like the fact that, because I know we're in the movie. There's something I want to talk about the drama too, but we'll talk about that in the end, and we'll wrap it up. I really did like the fact that they portray DV from the woman perspective. I mean, I know there was other scenes from the book that they could have incorporated, but it wasn't really that necessary in my opinion. I think the way they portray DV as like this gaslighting event, which is true, it was good. I think the acting from Justin Baldoni was amazing, more than I didn't think he was capable of doing. Blake Lively's was a little bit above average. It was okay, but still some of her best work. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the acting and for the DV. However, at the very end, when, like, I don't know what type of hypnosis Lily Bloom put on Ryle for him to just go, okay, cool, I'm done abusing you, like, I'm gonna go, you're right, like, what? Because that in reality usually doesn't happen. The man who abuses the woman, let's say in a lot of these cases, or the partner, ends up stalking and harassing the person and finding who theirs, and that's the reason why, like, a lot of people quote unquote escape, and when they escape, they do not tell their abuser the address where they're living. Like, they fully escape and they never look back, because the abusers do end up stalking them and harassing them and finding them and continuing. So for Ryle to just leave, that wasn't super realistic. But oh my Lord, I thought I closed this bottle. My God, who told you today? But it was okay. Like, the ending was like a bit rushed too. Like, at parts of the movie, I do feel like it was a bit rushed. I do feel like it could have been a really good 2-hour movie, but it felt like it was an hour and a half. I think this movie could have been a really good 2 hours, but I went into the movie with low expectations. I thought it would be horrible. I left being like, oh my God, that was great. That was actually really nice. Like, it was beautiful. Like, I cried a bit. But I think I cried for my personal reasons. Like, I didn't really cry. Not because I cried because, like, I'm so happy to be, like, I have like super like weird connection with movies. I love watching movies. I love experiencing movies. I don't know if I would. I think it was one time I cried and it was due to the movie, but I don't think it was like that emotional. But I think I cried at the end. I forgot what the reason, but I think it was due to the movie. Anyways, I'm weird, y'all. I know. So it was okay. Like, I would honestly rate it 7.5 out of 10. I would recommend everybody go seeing it because. And listen, because of the drama, they've reached $100 million and they used $25 million to make this movie, and now they've tripled it 4 times, I guess. So maybe the drama is helping to promote this movie. Maybe it's working. But after all of this, Sony, who partnered up with Justin to make this movie, is siding with Blake Lively, and saying that Blake Lively, helped to advance the rights of DV and spread awareness about DV, but we have no examples. In fact, the article in which I read that, they shared no examples of anything to that effect. But Sony, the head of Sony, just came out and like, hey, I'm with Blake, and she does advance DV. Like, in what way, we don't know. We know that Blake Lively did put out a story, with link to resource for those who want to seek help on that and start their journey. And Justin Baldoni did hire a PR agency. I really wish he didn't. Actually, no. Let me clarify. It's okay to do it, but I don't know why he hired the same PR agency that, oh my God, what's his name? Justin Baldoni. Johnny Depp. Thank you, Johnny Depp. So Justin Baldoni hired the same PR agency that Johnny Depp used when he was in trial with Amber Heard. I would not have done that. I would have chose any other PR agency because it just looked like you hire somebody because you're trying to help with a sexual harassment allegation. Maybe the fat shaming of like him asking, you know, somebody, not it wasn't somebody on set, so it wasn't her, it wasn't a random person, it was a person who was in charge of like health or something like that. I don't know if it was the trainer on set, I don't know, about her weight, so he can pick her up, so he can be able to pick her up. Maybe that's why he hired her. He hired the PR agency because of that. But the PR agency usually represents people who do crazy things, like crazy, like sexual harassment, like really abusive things, and that have alleged to do that. And I don't know why Justin would hire somebody like that. And everybody's like, and people are also strange. People don't understand why he hired a PR agency in the first place, because his community is on his side. A lot of people who are seeing this are on his side. We don't know if actors are on his side, though. We don't know if Hollywood is on his side, but the viewers and the consumers are on Justin's side. But, you know, maybe that's why he hired the PR agency, to get the actors in Hollywood on his side. I'm not really sure, but I would have went with another PR agency. I don't know. And then it goes to show, I feel like something else is going to drop in the next few days, or maybe they're going to have a lawsuit that's going to happen in the next few weeks. It just has spun out of control. And if I were to recommend anything to Justin, fire the PR agency and get another PR agency if you do need one. Blake, just don't talk. Do not come out. Do not try to make yourself look better. Just like just be mute. Like, be quiet. Like, don't even come out. Like, it's too late, and it just doesn't all look good. I watched a movie, like, it is clearly about like DV, because the characters are not developed. You can feel like something airy is about to happen throughout the movie, and DV, the center, and all the characters are kind of like ancillary. They're just there, and they're not really well developed, maybe except for Atlas. And so this is not a rom-com. This is not a fluffy chick flick. It is a movie about DV. And some might say it's like a DV like soap opera. So people also said that the reason why Blake Lively was also part of, like, so interactive and so hands-on, like beyond the leading character would ever be, is because she wants to get an Oscar for this movie. I don't think she'll get an Oscar for this movie. And I actually do like Blake Lively. Well, I don't know if I like her. I like her as an actor. Like, again, as a person, I don't know her. Her personality doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't seem like she has the greatest personality, but I was a big fan of her in Sister of the Traveling Pants. My sister and I love that movie. And so I don't really know if I will ever, I don't know. I do look at her differently. I don't know if I don't hate her, but I don't know if I simply like her as a person. I'm not sure. But I like her as an actor. Just don't say anything, Blake. Just continue. Just come out with Simple Favor, a second sequel, and just act. You know what I mean? Don't ever do an interview ever again. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know. You can't spin it. Like, out of what, like, no one's can spin it. You just look petty if you did. And people said that Blake probably dropped the fat shaming and like the kiss lingered to kind of combat like the Justin Baldoni love and the Blake Lively hate. But a lot of people are with Justin and do not like Blake. I like Justin because I'm with Justin because I don't like how Sonia and Blake has handled the movie. You know, it's okay to not like an actor, but if you're putting out such a movie out to the world, you have to talk about DV. The fact that Blake and the production company did not talk about domestic violence when this is what this movie is about is the craziest thing. And I don't know why they're trying to avoid that. This is not a fluffy grab your florals. This is about DV. And I don't know how you cannot talk about that. And even her is having issues with talking about it. And a lot of people who are experts in DV and survivors are saying that they are survivors because of that. And they came out of that because of that. And that has unfortunately made an impact in their life. But you need to recognize that. And a lot of what Blake is talking about hasn't really done that. And even Sony's kind of backing up the marketing. It is really strange. I don't know why. A lot of people are saying it's because Colin Hoover did head flack about creating such a book, but also praise for creating such a book. Like, everybody liked the fact that she created a book that was really about really deep topics that Hollywood usually tries to avoid or water down. And Colleen Hoover really just went in on it. And it's actually really weird too, because like it's based off of a true story, off of Colleen Hoover's mom. Again, Colleen Hoover is the writer of the book that the movie is based off of. So again, really weird as to why Colleen Hoover is siding with Blake's marketing of this movie. Again, I do think that they're blowing it out of the proportion to really sell the movie. And or there could be something else that maybe Justin did and that we don't know about that could be dropping. Those are my thoughts. I mean, I do recommend everybody go see the movie. I think the drama is really insane. I do not know how Blake is going to convince another director and tell them that they're going to be not as interactive. Like, I don't know how you can work with Blake after, because she did say that if you hire me, you're also hiring my husband, which is insane to say. Because she said that, oh, whatever my husband's in, I work in it. Whatever I'm in, my husband works in it. Hence, like, the rooftop scene that Ryan wrote after, you know, the movie writer submitted the script. It's weird because you're an actor, not a director. Unless that's in your contract. I don't know. Like, it's like, I don't know how anybody else in Hollywood can be able to work with Drake. And that can also be said for Justin Baldoni. If Justin Baldoni actually said that, like, now it's going to be like, who wants to work with Justin Baldoni? But again, a lot of people know Justin Baldoni in Hollywood and knows he's not like that. So, but Blake, it's like, who's going to want you in their movie if you're going to be, quote unquote, this interactive? Oh, one last thing. People are also saying that Blake can act. I think like a lot of actors, I think she's an average actor. Okay? She's an average actor. She is. Okay? She is an average actor. She is not like in that Quiet Place movie. Oh my God. You know that actor in Quiet Place movie? The Quiet Place Part 2. Oh, no. Quiet Place movie. There was that actor, that black actor, which I was surprised she was in. Like, I don't know what she was doing there. Third movie. I don't know why she was in that. But the cast for that one, Lupita Nyong'o. She's not a Lupita Nyong'o, okay? She's an average actor, like a lot of actors are. But if they're saying that she can't act, and that goes to her experience with it, but also to the fact that she also said in an interview that when she has a script, she actually scavenger hunts and looks for something to grab on. It does seem like she's looking for something that kind of resembles who she is, so she can be able to do the movie, versus you trying to figure out how to embody that character. She tries to make sure that that character embodies her. All of this doesn't look good for Blake. I think Blake should just like take a break, girl. Just stay with family, stay off the internet. Don't say anything until your next movie comes out. Go to a film. I do think that Blake might be like a nice person, but I think also she's kind of like has a very strong personality. I don't know if I'll ever be friends with her, but I don't hate her. So I don't know. That's something that she's going to have to prove to the world now. Who are you, Blake? Because everybody doesn't like you. Hopefully you guys like this video. It was a lot. It was a 1 hour video. Oh my God. If you guys like this video, I had a lot of fun talking about this with y'all. So stay healthy and stay safe. Let me know your thoughts about the movie. If you've watched it, about Blake, about Justin, leave your thoughts down below. Hopefully it was really long, but I had a great time talking about this with you guys, because I had to talk about somebody about this, because it was a really good drama that I've been enthralled in it. Like I know everything about it. I feel like something is about to drop though. Until then, I gotta go check that out. Stay woke, stay healthy, stay safe. Oh, I really have to use the washroom. Bye.